Today's story is Escaping My Wedding. Straight into the most feared mafia boss's limousine. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Before today's story begins, please take a moment to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Your support gives us the opportunity to keep creating meaningful and emotional stories for you. We are truly grateful that you chose to spend your time here today. Let us know in the comments where you are watching from. Thank you for joining us. Now let's begin today's story. Please just drive. Maya Brooks had been a bride for exactly 11 minutes when she ran barefoot into the rain. Her wedding dress dragged through dirty water as she stumbled across the street, one hand clutching the torn skirt above her knees, the other still wearing the diamond ring she suddenly wished she could tear from her finger. Behind her, the cathedral doors burst open. Maya! She didn't turn around. 3 men in black suits rushed down the stone steps. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She had no purse, no phone, no coat. One heel had disappeared somewhere behind the reception hall, and blood was already running from a cut beneath her bare foot. None of it mattered. She only knew one thing. If they took her back, she might never get another chance to leave. Then she saw the limousine. Long black, engine running beneath the amber streetlights. Maya didn't stop to think. She yanked open the rear door, threw herself inside, and slammed it behind her. Drive, she gasped. Please. Silence. The interior smelled of leather, cedar, and expensive whiskey. Warm golden lights glowed along polished black panels. For half a second, Maya felt relief. Then she realized she wasn't alone. A man sat opposite her. He wore a charcoal suit with no tie. His white shirt opened slightly at the collar. Broad shoulders. Dark hair. A face carved into hard, controlled angles. He wasn't surprised. That frightened her more than anger would have. His pale gray eyes moved slowly from Maya's soaked wedding dress to the blood on her foot, then to the cathedral outside. Wrong car, he said. His voice was quiet, dangerously quiet. Maya reached for the door. Then she saw the 3 men. Through the tinted glass. They had reached the sidewalk. Searching. One pointed toward the limousine. Maya froze. The stranger noticed. Friends of yours? No, the answer came too quickly. His eyes narrowed. One of the men outside approached. Maya's breathing broke into shallow bursts. Please, she whispered. I don't know who you are. I don't care. Just don't let them take me back. For the first time, something changed in the stranger's expression. Not sympathy. Recognition. He leaned slightly toward the window as the nearest pursuer stepped beneath the streetlight. His jaw hardened. Maya didn't know the man outside, but Vincent Hale did. And that changed everything. Vincent had spent 20 years building a name that made politicians lower their voices and hardened criminals reconsider their courage. Men crossed streets to avoid him. Judges knew his face. Entire organizations had disappeared after making the mistake of becoming his enemy. Yet this trembling woman in a ruined wedding dress had just climbed uninvited into his limousine and ordered him to drive. A knock struck the glass. Maya flinched. Vincent didn't. Mr. Hale, his driver said cautiously from the front. Should I remove her? Maya looked at Vincent. For one terrible second she understood. Hale. Vincent Hale. The most feared mafia boss in the city. She had escaped her wedding. Straight into the car of a man people were afraid to name. Outside, another fist struck the window. Vincent kept his eyes on the man standing in the rain. Then he gave one quiet command. Drive. The limousine pulled away from the curb. Maya stared at him, stunned. Vincent said nothing. Because unlike Maya, he already knew exactly who was chasing her. And he knew they weren't trying to bring a runaway bride back to her wedding. They were trying to stop her from telling someone why she had run. 3 hours earlier, Maya Brooks had still believed she was walking toward the happiest moment of her life. The bridal suite glowed beneath soft afternoon light, filled with white roses, champagne glasses, and the nervous laughter of women adjusting dresses and fixing one another's hair. Beyond the tall windows, the cathedral courtyard shimmered beneath gathering rain clouds. Maya stood before the mirror. For 27 years, she had imagined this moment differently. Her mother, Denise, stepped behind her and gently straightened the veil over Maya's dark curls. Your father would have been proud. Those words nearly broke her. Maya's father, Samuel Brooks, had died 6 years earlier, leaving behind little that looked impressive to outsiders. He had been a contractor, a stubbornly honest man who worked until his hands cracked, and still found enough strength to help neighbors repair leaking roofs without charging them. He had taught Maya one rule above all others: never confuse wealth with worth. Then Maya met Ethan Caldwell. He had seemed different from the wealthy men she distrusted: patient, thoughtful. He remembered her mother's birthday. He listened when Maya spoke about turning her father's old community property into something meaningful. When Ethan proposed, Maya believed she had found a man who loved where she came from instead of merely tolerating it. 10 minutes before the ceremony, she went looking for him. She wanted one private moment before hundreds of guests turned their marriage into a spectacle. She found his voice instead. The door to the cathedral's private study stood slightly open. "The transfer becomes valid after the marriage certificate is signed," Richard Caldwell said. Maya stopped. Ethan answered quietly, "And if she refuses afterward?" "She won't." Maya's fingers tightened around her bouquet. Richard gave a dry laugh. "She still thinks that property is about her father's sentimental little dream." Something inside Maya went cold. The property, 42 acres Samuel Brooks had purchased decades ago when the neighborhood was worth almost nothing. Land Maya had refused to sell despite increasingly aggressive offers. "She trusts me," Ethan said. There was no tenderness in his voice, only certainty. Richard lowered his voice, but Maya heard enough. Once married, Ethan would gain access through a financial agreement Maya had been told was routine estate planning. Caldwell interests could force redevelopment through a corporate structure she had never been shown. Her father's legacy would disappear beneath luxury towers. Maya stared at the diamond on her finger. Suddenly she remembered every document Ethan had encouraged her to sign. Every conversation he had redirected. Every time he had called her concerns unnecessary. Then came the sentence that destroyed whatever remained. "She doesn't need to understand it," Ethan said. "She just needs to say yes." Maya stepped backward. Her bouquet struck the wall. Inside, the conversation stopped. "Maya!" Ethan's chair scraped across the floor. She ran. "Maya, wait!" She lifted her dress and raced down the service corridor, past startled caterers and trays of untouched champagne. Behind her, Ethan shouted her name again. Not with heartbreak, with panic. That difference told her everything. She pushed through a side door. Rain struck her face. One heel snapped against the stone steps. Maya kicked off the other and kept running. Then Richard's voice thundered from behind her. "Don't let her leave." 3 security men moved. Maya's breath caught. This wasn't a groom chasing the woman he loved. This was a powerful family trying to recover something they believed belonged to them. Across the rain-soaked street, a black limousine waited with its engine running. Maya didn't know whose car it was. She only knew that for the first time that day, she was about to make a decision no one had made for her. She ran toward it. "You know my name," Vincent said. "Now tell me why the Caldwells are chasing you." Maya's eyes snapped toward him. Rain streaked across the limousine windows, turning the city outside into ribbons of gold and black. The cathedral had disappeared several blocks behind them, but Maya still felt as though Ethan's men were only a few steps away. "I never said they were the Caldwells." "No," Vincent calmly poured 2 fingers of whiskey into a crystal glass. "You didn't." Maya stared at him. He hadn't asked the driver to slow down. He hadn't demanded payment. He hadn't even raised his voice. Somehow that made him more frightening. "Who are you?" she whispered. Vincent lifted the glass but didn't drink. "You already figured that out." Her stomach tightened. Vincent Hale. The name had appeared in newspapers, always beside words like investigation, organized crime, racketeering, suspected. Nothing ever seemed to stick. Witnesses changed their stories. Cases collapsed. Men who publicly challenged him suddenly discovered compelling reasons to leave the city. And Maya was sitting barefoot across from him. She reached toward the door handle. "Don't." Her hand froze. Vincent's gray eyes dropped toward the street outside. "We're moving 60 miles an hour." Maya slowly withdrew her hand. He leaned back. "If I wanted to keep you here, Maya, you wouldn't need to guess." She stiffened. "I didn't tell you my name." "No." But the wedding banners outside the cathedral did. For the first time that night, embarrassment pierced through her fear. Of course. Maya looked away. Her reflection floated against the dark window. Soaked curls, smeared makeup, torn white silk. She barely recognized herself. Then a phone began vibrating. Maya looked down. She had forgotten she still had it tucked inside a hidden pocket sewn into her dress. Ethan. Her breathing stopped. The call ended. Immediately another appeared. Mo. Maya's thumb moved toward the screen. Then stopped. Her mother would be terrified. But what if someone was beside her? The call disappeared. Ethan. Again. Then, unknown number. Again. Again. Vincent watched without comment. Finally, Maya shut the phone off. You're not going to tell me to answer? Why would I? Because everyone else seems to think they know what I should do. Something flickered behind Vincent's eyes. He looked away first. The limousine turned sharply. Maya glanced through the rear window and saw headlights following them. Black SUV. Her pulse jumped. Are they following us? Vincent didn't turn around. Yes. Maya's face drained. Then go faster. No, she stared at him. What? Vincent pressed a button beside his seat. Marcus. A voice answered through the speaker. Yes, boss. Lose them without making noise. Understood. Maya looked from the speaker to Vincent. What does that mean? It means you don't need to know. I think I do. For the first time, Vincent almost smiled. Not warmly, but with something resembling surprise. Most people became quieter around him. This woman became louder. The limousine slipped beneath an overpass. Another black vehicle appeared behind them, positioning itself between Vincent's car and the pursuing SUV. Seconds later, their pursuers vanished down another exit. No gunshots. No kelichen. Just absence. Maya swallowed. You could have handed me over. Yes. Why didn't you? Vincent's expression changed. He studied her wedding ring. Then the blood drying beneath her bare foot. Finally, he looked directly into her eyes. Because I recognized the man who knocked on my window. Maya went still. Who was he? Vincent set his untouched whiskey down. Someone who doesn't retrieve runaway brides. Silence filled the limousine. Maya's voice became almost inaudible. Then what does he retrieve? Vincent held her gaze. Assets. The word landed harder than a threat. And suddenly Maya understood something terrifying. Vincent wasn't helping her because he believed her story. He was helping her because whatever she had escaped from had just entered his world too. If that gate locks behind me, I'm leaving. Maya stood beneath the stone entrance of Vincent Hale's estate, staring at the armed men positioned beneath the security lights. The rain had softened to a cold drizzle. 20 minutes earlier, she had been running barefoot through downtown in a wedding dress. Now she stood before an iron gate surrounding 12 acres of darkness, cameras, stone walls, and men carrying weapons beneath tailored jackets. Vincent stepped from the limousine. Then leave. Maya blinked. He walked toward the house without looking back. That irritated her almost as much as it confused her. Marcus Reed approached from another vehicle. Tall, broad-shouldered, with the watchful expression of someone who had survived by assuming every stranger was dangerous. His eyes settled on Maya. Who is she? Someone staying until morning, Vincent said. Marcus frowned. We don't bring unknown people here. We do tonight. That ended the discussion. Inside, the mansion was nothing like Maya expected. No gold statues. No theatrical displays of wealth. Dark oak. Gray. Stone. Low amber lighting. Everything expensive, restrained, almost severe. A woman from the household staff appeared with towels and a first aid kit. Maya accepted the towel. Not the help. I can clean my own foot. The woman nodded respectfully and stepped away. Vincent noticed. He noticed everything. You should call your mother, he said. Maya's expression hardened. I'll decide when. Vincent paused, then nodded once. No argument. That disturbed her more than one would have. Marcus entered holding a tablet. Caldwell's people are already calling hospitals, hotels, airports. They're saying she had some kind of emotional breakdown. Maya went still. What? Marcus turned the screen toward Vincent. A statement had already been released. Bride disappears moments before ceremony. Family concerned for her safety. Maya read the words twice. They're making me sound unstable. They're controlling the story, Vincent said. Her hands began trembling. She hated that he could see it. I need to go. Vincent looked toward the windows. You'll be found within an hour. That's my problem. Tonight it became mine. No, the word cracked through the room. 2 guards looked over. Maya stepped toward Vincent. You don't get to decide that. His expression cooled. I kept Caldwell's men from taking you. And I'm grateful. But that doesn't make me yours. Vincent's jaw tightened. Maya's fear told her to stop. She didn't. I escaped one cage tonight. Don't build me another. Silence. Marcus stared at her as if she had just slapped the most dangerous man in the city. Vincent said nothing for several seconds. Then he turned toward the security chief. Open the gates. Marcus hesitated. Vincent. All of them. A mechanical hum traveled through the estate. Beyond the windows, the iron gates slowly opened. Vincent looked at Maya. No locked doors. No guard stopping you. No one follows you if you leave. Maya searched his face for the trick. There wasn't one. You'd really let me walk out? You came here because someone took away your choices. His voice lowered. I won't become another man who does the same. Something inside Maya shifted. Not trust. Not yet. But the first fragile crack in her certainty that every powerful man eventually demanded ownership. She looked toward the open gates. Freedom waited beyond them. She could leave. She could disappear into the wet city and face the Caldwells alone. Instead, Maya slowly sat down. Vincent turned away, giving her the dignity of pretending he hadn't noticed her decision. Then Marcus's phone vibrated. He read the message. His face changed. Boss. Vincent stopped. Marcus looked toward Maya. The Caldwells just reported her kidnapped. Maya's blood went cold. Kidnapped by who? Marcus hesitated, then looked directly at Vincent. You. They're going to make everyone believe you took me. Vincent stood motionless beside the fireplace. For most men, being publicly accused of kidnapping a bride would have created panic. For Vincent Hale, it created silence. The dangerous kind. Marcus placed his phone on the table. Caldwell has already contacted the police. 3 news outlets have the story. Maya stared at the screen. Her photograph filled it. A smiling engagement portrait taken 6 months earlier sat beneath a headline describing her as vulnerable, distressed, and possibly being held against her will. They planned this fast. Vincent's voice was flat. Too fast. Maya looked at him. You think they expected me to run? I think they prepared for the possibility that you'd refuse. The realization hurt more than she expected. Ethan hadn't merely lied to her. He had prepared a version of her life in which even her resistance could be explained away. Vincent turned to Marcus. Find the reporter who received the first statement. Find out when it was written. Marcus nodded and left. Maya lowered herself onto the edge of a chair. I was going to marry him. There was no anger in her voice now, only humiliation. Vincent recognized that tone. He had heard it once before. Long ago. His mother had spoken with the same emptiness while sitting at a kitchen table, carefully covering a bruise beneath her sleeve. Vincent had been 13. His father controlled the money, the doors, the telephone, even the clothes she wore. People called him protective. Vincent learned young that protection and possession could wear the same suit. One winter night, his mother had packed a single suitcase. She reached the front door. His father was waiting. She never tried again. Vincent had spent the rest of his life becoming powerful enough that no one could ever cage him. Somewhere along the way, he had forgotten what power looked like from the other side. You should change, he said quietly. Maya looked down at the ruined wedding dress. I don't have anything. Vincent glanced toward the hallway. Someone will bring you clothes. I'll pay for them. You don't have to. I said I'll pay. A faint expression touched his face. You argue about everything? Only when people make decisions for me. This time Vincent actually smiled. Barely. It transformed his face for less than a second before disappearing. An older housekeeper entered carrying folded clothes. As she crossed the room, her foot caught the edge of the carpet. The tray in her hands tilted. Vincent moved first. He caught her elbow before she fell. "Easy, Mrs. Avery." Maya watched him steady the woman. Not a boss touching an employee. A man worried about someone who mattered. "You're supposed to use the other staircase," Vincent murmured. "And you're supposed to eat dinner before midnight," Mrs. Avery replied. Maya almost laughed. Vincent Hale, the man newspapers described like a monster, was being scolded by a 60-year-old housekeeper. And he allowed it. Later, Maya found Vincent alone on the terrace. "You opened the gates because of what I said." "Yes." "Why?" For a moment he watched the rain. "My mother once needed someone to open a door for her." Maya understood there was more. She didn't ask. That restraint surprised him. Then Marcus appeared behind them. "We found something." Vincent turned. The Caldwell statement wasn't written tonight. Marcus held up his phone. "It was created 4 days ago." Maya stopped breathing. 4 days before she ran. 4 days before anyone supposedly knew she was in danger. Vincent's eyes became cold. "They weren't preparing for a wedding," he said. "They were preparing for what happened if Maya discovered the truth. They didn't just expect me to say no," Maya whispered. "They were ready to destroy me if I did." Morning light had barely begun to touch the windows when Marcus spread the documents across Vincent's dining table. Maya stood over them wearing borrowed jeans and a gray sweater. The wedding dress lay upstairs now, stained with rain and street dirt, but somehow she could still feel its weight around her body. Marcus tapped the first page. "Richard Caldwell's company has been trying to acquire your father's property for 3 years. I know. I rejected every offer. That's why they changed strategies." Maya looked at him. Marcus slid another document forward. It carried Ethan's signature. And hers. Her stomach dropped. "I signed this 6 months ago," Marcus said. "You were told it concerned marital estate planning." Maya remembered the evening perfectly. Ethan had brought dinner to her apartment. They had sat at her kitchen table while he explained that wealthy families handled marriage differently. She had questioned the language. He kissed her forehead. "Trust me." 2 words. That was all it had taken. Vincent stood near the window, watching Maya's face rather than the papers. "What does it actually do?" she asked. Marcus hesitated. "After marriage, it gives a Caldwell-controlled trust significant authority over assets connected to your father's estate." Maya closed her eyes. 42 acres. Her father's last great gamble. Samuel Brooks had bought that land when banks laughed at him, and investors told a black contractor from the South Side that men like him didn't become landowners. He had planned affordable housing there. A medical clinic. A community center. He died before he could build any of it. Maya had promised she would. They were going to bury his dream under luxury apartments. Her voice cracked. Vincent finally moved. "They still need you." Maya looked at him. "That's why the men came after me." "Yes." The room went silent. Then Marcus's phone vibrated. His expression hardened. "It's getting worse." He turned the screen around. A television reporter stood outside the cathedral. Behind her appeared a photograph of Vincent's limousine. Sources claimed Maya had entered the vehicle under suspicious circumstances. The Caldwell family was publicly pleading for her safe return. Then Ethan appeared. His eyes were red. His voice trembled perfectly. "Maya, if you can hear me, please come home. Whatever happened, whatever he told you, I love you." Maya stared. For 1 second, pain crossed her face. Then anger replaced it. "He knows exactly what happened." Vincent reached for his phone. "I can end this." Something in his voice made Marcus look up. Maya understood immediately. "How?" Vincent's eyes turned cold. "Caldwell owns businesses because certain people allow him to. Reporters have sources because people answer their calls. By tonight, neither needs to be true." "No." Vincent stopped. Maya faced him. "If you silence them for me, I'm still just a woman standing behind a powerful man. They're lying about you. Then I tell the truth. They'll tear you apart." "Maybe." Her hands were trembling again. This time she didn't hide them. "But if you frighten everyone into believing me, they won't believe me at all." Vincent stared at her. Nobody spoke to him this way. Nobody refused protection once he offered it. Yet Maya wasn't refusing his help. She was refusing to surrender ownership of her own fight. "I ran last night," she said quietly. "I'm done running." Vincent's expression shifted. Not softness. Respect. Marcus suddenly turned another page. "There's something else." He placed a corporate map on the table. A red line crossed Samuel Brooks's property. Maya frowned. "What is that?" Vincent stepped closer. For the first time that morning, genuine surprise appeared in his eyes, because he recognized the route. It connected two redevelopment zones controlled by rival interests, and the final parcel blocking the entire project belonged to Maya. Vincent looked at her. "This was never only about your inheritance." Maya's throat tightened. "Then what was it about?" Vincent touched the red line. "A war. If I protect you, I lose something I've spent 12 years building." Maya looked at Vincent across the long dining table. "Then don't." Marcus lifted his head sharply. Vincent's expression remained unreadable. Spread between them were maps, contracts, corporate records, and one photograph of Samuel Brooks standing proudly beside a weathered for sale sign 23 years earlier. The red line on the map had changed everything. Samuel's 42 acres sat directly between two massive redevelopment zones. Richard Caldwell had spent years quietly assembling surrounding properties, but without Maya's land, the project could never connect to the interstate freight corridor. There was another problem. The eastern section belonged to companies protected by Vincent Hale. Marcus pointed to the map. "Caldwell offered us a partnership 8 months ago. We refused. So he needed another way through," Maya said. Vincent nodded. "Your land. And Ethan was supposed to deliver it." Silence settled over the room. Maya stared at her father's photograph. They hadn't seen Samuel Brooks as a man who spent 30 years building something for his daughter. They had seen an obstacle. Then Marcus placed a black folder before Vincent. "The Caldwell Agreement." Maya frowned. "I thought you refused them." "The first deal," Marcus said. "This one came later." Vincent opened the folder. Caldwell had offered him control over several valuable commercial properties in exchange for neutrality once Maya's land transferred. Millions of dollars. Influence. Territory. Everything men in Vincent's world killed for. Maya understood. "If you expose them, that disappears." "Yes." "Then why are we even discussing this?" Vincent looked at her. "Because they used you. That doesn't make me your responsibility." "No," his answer came immediately. "It makes the decision mine." Maya stepped closer. "Don't turn me into a reason to start a war." Vincent's jaw tightened. "You think that's what this is?" "I think men like Caldwell hurt people because they believe power gives them permission. And men like you answer by proving you have more power." Marcus went completely still. Maya continued. "Then people like me become the battlefield." The words landed hard. Vincent could have silenced her with one look. Instead, he looked down at the contract. He remembered his mother standing beside that locked front door. He remembered being 13 and powerless. Then he remembered what Maya had told him. Being feared wasn't the same as being respected. Vincent picked up the agreement. Marcus recognized the movement. "Boss." Vincent walked toward the fireplace. "That agreement gives us control of the South Corridor." "I know. We've spent 12 years trying to get it." "I know." Vincent held the pages above the flames. Marcus stepped forward. "She's worth that much?" Maya flinched. Vincent looked at her. For one long moment nobody moved. Then his eyes returned to Marcus. No, Maya's face changed. Vincent released the contract. Fire caught the bottom edge. Gold lettering curled black. Signatures disappeared. Millions of dollars became ash. Doing the right thing is. The room went silent. Maya stared at the burning pages. She had expected protection to come with a price. A debt. An obligation. Ownership disguised as kindness. Vincent asked for nothing. That frightened her in an entirely different way. Because gratitude could be resisted. But respect was becoming harder to ignore. Marcus's phone rang. He answered, listened, then slowly lowered it. Caldwell scheduled a press conference. "When?" Vincent asked. "Tonight. At the Cathedral Reception Hall." Maya's eyes narrowed. "The wedding venue?" Marcus nodded. Ethan will appear with both families. They're going to claim you were manipulated and demand Vincent release you publicly. Vincent reached for his coat. I'll handle it. No, Maya's voice stopped him. She looked at her father's photograph one final time. Then at the ashes of Vincent's contract. Yesterday, she had fled that cathedral barefoot. Tonight would be different. I'm going back. Vincent stared at her. To the man you ran from? Maya slowly removed the engagement ring from her finger. No, her eyes were steady now. I'm going back as the woman he thought I wasn't. You wanted your runaway bride back, Maya said. Here I am. Every voice in the cathedral reception hall died. 200 guests turned toward the entrance. Maya Brooks stood beneath the archway in the same wedding dress she had fled in the night before. It had been cleaned but not repaired. A tear still ran along the skirt. One sleeve remained stained near the cuff. Maya had refused every suggestion to replace it. She wanted them to see what yesterday had cost her. At the far end of the room, Ethan Caldwell froze beside a cluster of reporters. Maya! Relief crossed his face first, then fear. Richard Caldwell moved faster. Thank God. He approached with both hands extended. We've been terrified. Come here. Maya didn't move. Richard stopped. Cameras clicked. Maya, Ethan said softly, performing tenderness for the room. Whatever Hale told you. He didn't tell me anything. Her voice wasn't loud. Didn't need to be. He listened. A murmur moved through the crowd. Only then did Vincent enter. Black suit. White shirt. No visible weapon. Marcus and two men remained near the doors, but Vincent walked behind Maya alone. The reaction was immediate. Reporters stepped backward. Several guests stopped breathing. Richard's face hardened. You bring that criminal into my family's gathering? Vincent's expression didn't change. This isn't my conversation. Then he stepped aside. Not in front of Maya. Beside her. The distinction was small. Maya felt all of it. Ethan approached. Baby, you're confused. Maya's eyes hardened. Don't call me that. I was trying to protect you. From what? Ethan hesitated. From making a mistake. Maya reached into a folder Marcus had prepared. She removed the first document. My mistake was trusting you. She held up the estate agreement. Reporters surged closer. This document was presented to me as routine marital planning. It would have transferred control over property my father spent his life building. Richard interrupted. That is an outrageous misunderstanding. Maya produced another page. And this is the public statement describing me as emotionally unstable. Richard's face changed. It was written 4 days before I supposedly disappeared. Silence. A reporter lowered his microphone. Another immediately raised hers. Mr. Caldwell, is that true? Richard said nothing. Maya continued. My father bought 42 acres when people told him a black working man had no business owning that much land. He didn't buy it to make his daughter rich. Her voice trembled. She let it. He bought it because he wanted families like ours to have somewhere to live without being pushed out every time powerful people discovered value in their neighborhood. Denise Brooks stood among the guests, tears covering her face. Ethan stepped closer. Maya, I love you. That hurt. Because once she had desperately wanted those words to be true. He reached for her hand. She withdrew it. If you loved me, why did my signature matter more than my consent? Ethan went pale. I did this for our future. No, Maya removed the diamond ring from her pocket. She placed it on the champagne table between them. The tiny sound against the glass seemed louder than a gunshot. You did it for a future you chose without me. Ethan stared at the ring. Please. Maya's eyes filled with tears, but her voice remained steady. Love doesn't need my signature to own me. The room went completely silent. Behind her, Vincent said nothing. That was his gift to her. Not rescue. Not revenge. Space. Space for Maya Brooks to save herself. Then Marcus crossed the room and quietly handed Vincent his phone. Vincent read the message. His eyes sharpened. Richard noticed. What? Vincent finally spoke. The lenders financing your redevelopment just received every document Maya presented. Richard's face drained. and the city ethics office received the rest. For the first time, Richard Caldwell looked afraid. But Maya wasn't watching him. She was looking at the open cathedral doors. Yesterday, she had run through them because she believed escape was her only choice. Tonight, she walked toward them slowly, head high. No one tried to stop her. And this time, when Vincent followed, he stayed one step behind. 6 months later, Maya Brooks stood on the land everyone had once tried to steal from her. Morning sunlight stretched across 42 acres of freshly turned earth. Construction workers moved between foundations while children from the neighborhood pressed their faces against a temporary fence, watching something their families had been promised for years finally become real. A wooden sign stood near the entrance. The Samuel Brooks Community Project. Affordable homes, a medical clinic, a childcare center. And beneath those words, land is more than property. It is possibility. Maya touched her father's old photograph inside her coat pocket. "We did it, Dad," she whispered. The Caldwells had not escaped consequences. Investigators uncovered fraudulent contracts, undisclosed financial arrangements, and years of coercive redevelopment practices. Richard Caldwell resigned from 3 corporate boards before criminal charges followed. Ethan cooperated with investigators. Maya never saw him again. She didn't need revenge. The truth had done enough. More importantly, she refused to let what happened become merely another painful story. Using part of her inheritance, Maya created the Brooks Freedom Foundation, providing legal assistance and emergency housing to women trying to leave controlling relationships. The first woman they helped arrived carrying one suitcase. Maya understood exactly what that meant. She personally opened the door. Vincent changed too. Not suddenly. Men like Vincent Hale did not become different because someone loved them. They changed because one day they finally saw the cost of who they had been. He began separating legitimate businesses from the violent alliances that had built his reputation. Some relationships ended quietly. Others cost him money and influence. Marcus complained constantly. Vincent kept going. He had spent most of his life believing power meant making people obey. Maya had shown him something harder. Sometimes power meant giving someone enough space to choose. Their relationship grew slowly. No dramatic declarations. No promises made beneath chandeliers. Coffee became dinner. Dinner became long conversations. Sometimes Vincent visited the construction site and stood awkwardly while neighborhood children asked why he always wore black. Maya enjoyed those moments far too much. One evening, after the workers had gone home, she found him staring at Samuel's photograph. "He would have hated me," Vincent said. Maya smiled. "He would have made you prove yourself." Vincent looked at her. "And have I? Ask me in 20 years. He laughed. A real laugh. She had never heard it before. 3 months later, Maya stepped from the foundation office after sunset. A familiar black limousine waited at the curb. For a moment she stopped. The first time she had seen that car, she had been barefoot, terrified, wearing a wedding dress that belonged to a future someone else had designed for her. Tonight she wore a navy coat, carried her own keys, and had nowhere she needed to escape from. Vincent sat inside. He didn't send Marcus to get her. He didn't open the door. He simply waited. Maya smiled. Then she opened it herself. She sat across from him. "Dinner?" he asked. "Maybe." Vincent raised an eyebrow. "That's encouraging." Maya laughed. The limousine pulled away. After several blocks, Vincent glanced at her. Still running. Maya looked through the window at the city lights. Once she had believed freedom meant getting as far away as possible from the people who wanted to control her. Now she understood something deeper. Freedom wasn't running. Freedom was being able to stay, leave, love, refuse, begin again, and know the choice belonged to you. She turned toward Vincent. "Not anymore." His expression softened. "Then where to?" Maya reached across the space between them and took his hand. Not because she owed him. Not because he had saved her. Because after everything, she was finally free enough to choose him. "Somewhere I choose." Vincent nodded to the driver. And the limousine disappeared into the warm city night. 6 months earlier, Maya Brooks had climbed into that car because she was terrified of the life waiting behind her. Tonight she entered it because she believed in the life waiting ahead. And that day the world remembered what dignity looks like.